Okay, so why are we talking about this? Let me just get to the next slide. Yes, tying it together. Well, if we continue quickly with the dog analogy, so when we encounter a scary dog, we are experiencing these physical, emotional changes like increased heart rate. Sometimes there's cortisol that would be pumping through our body, which is that stress hormone. And then we experience these fright and flight sensations in the nervous system. But let's also compare this with a gentle therapy dog who calms the nervous system. And dogs have a heightened sense of emotional intelligence, and they're very much aware of our human state of being. Now, with coaching, most often, self-aware humans also are able to detect that emotional state of other humans as well. So our holistic state is kind of in the field for all to experience, whether we like it or not. And when I say the field, this is a psychotherapy term to describe the container that we have with our clients. And as coaches, the best way we can self-regulate is really to understand and accept our own physical and emotional response in the here and now. So this is how we remain authentic to ourselves and with others. Okay, so are there any questions or comments before we move into the 3 exercises? I'm just going to quickly check our chat. Lisa, I'm muted. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, hold on a sec. That was the beginning. Let me go down. Okay, so no questions so far. All right. I thought I was muted for a minute there. I am not, so that's great. Okay, so now we're going to jump in to the 3 exercises. So the first is Gestalt as real physical beings. We're going to do a little bit of theory and then we'll jump into it. So when we see ourselves as, containing that mind and body, which is the whole of all parts, humans always have that gut instinct factor, and we sense and we know. So when we have an emotion such as anger, our physical bodies show signs of that, like we talked about in the last slide, like the clenched jaw or the frown. And when we have direct contact with others, the physical and emotional parts of us show up and they're intertwined together. But over the last few years, I've become a lot more self-aware of my internal feelings rather than living on autopilot. And when I acknowledge my emotional states and communicate these to others, well, this shows a lot more greater vulnerability. This process allows me to bring my full self into encounters with others. So that's really what it means to be a real physical being. Okay. So I'm going to give you a recent scenario that leads into the exercise. So this is a story of a recent client who arrived in an online therapy group and was demonstrating high anxiety and anger. But how did I know this? Well, her eyebrows were furrowed, her physical body was shut off, and she had the mute button on. So now that we're all working kind of on video or working from home, sometimes through the screen, you can kind of tell, the different emotions that people are feeling. But a group member in our therapy session noticed she was closed off and asked her how she was holding up and if she wanted to contribute. And her response was quite explosive. So she was angry at the political and economic and social divisions that are really kind of plaguing our world today. So it's a very relevant topic. So this young lady was so upset that she was literally seeing red and she was no longer present. She was unable to see the rest of the group in our online therapy session. In fact, she even didn't want to be there at all. She just wanted to leave and shut everything down. So we had a core challenge, like how do we reorient the client to become present in the moment and just sit in the discomfort of her emotions? Well, there's a series of next steps that we conducted, and I'm just going to scroll down because I see people in the chat. So her anger, first of all, brought energy into the entire container. So it affected everybody. And in order to de-escalate the tension, the young woman was just simply asked to breathe. So to draw in a large breath and do a slow exhale. Very simple. And next, she was asked to stand up. Just simply walk in her space, acknowledge her environment. And when she returned, she felt much more present and at least was able to speak. And she was also asked, because I know when there's a large group of us, it can feel overwhelming in an online situation. So she was asked to simply pick one member on the screen, pin that person, and then just simply express her emotion. So not complicated stuff, very straightforward. And the result was actually quite fantastic. You know, she was able to stabilize her nervous system. She shifted her physical self and was able to at least adjust and be present and come back to us. And then also when she spoke with the one person, it certainly grounded her as well. So all this to say, it was a very positive experience for her.